You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome back to Cards to the Moon. This is episode 310, and my name is Clark from 5cardguys.com. And you can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and on Facebook at 5cardguys. It's all one word, and the number 5 is spelled out. I know a lot of people make that mistake. Co-hosting with me, as usual, is Hyung, who is at Hyung on Instagram and on YouTube as well. And John, he's off for this month. He's super busy, but we're looking forward to having him back on the pod in September. Okay, off the top today, Hyung, remember when we had our Sun Heung-Min National Landmarks cards?
Oh, yeah.
We both ended up selling, and I think Roy still has his. But anyway, Sunny, we know, just got transferred to the Los Angeles Football Club in the MLS League. Now, I'm going to ask the same question when Lionel Messi went from playing in Europe to Inter Miami FC. And that question is, you think soccer cards will become generally more popular as more higher profile soccer players come to play in North America? And a follow-up question to that is, are you back in on Sunny cards?
I don't think I never left. I think it's always going to be a collectible for me, or someone who I would collect just based off, him being Korean, I'm Korean. So it's a cultural thing for me. So yeah. I don't think, I would never leave that space, but I also, realistically, I don't really think it's going to do anything. It's not going to move the needle, but I like where your head's at in terms of as bigger profile names come, to the Western part of the world. I do think it will help with soccer cards in general, because I think a lot of the collectors in the Western part of the world, they're not in on soccer cards, or there's no reason to. So at least it will give, a reason to kind of get into that space. And you're seeing it everywhere in all sports. So you see it, in Europe, obviously football is their main sport. And then now it's getting more popular in the Western part of the world, and vice versa. Baseball is dominated, for the last, 100 years or so in baseball. Now it's becoming a global sport where there's a lot more countries that are participating in baseball at a really high level. So you're kind of seeing a globalization in sports in general. I think there's not that bias. So I think, if anything, to point that in the direction, I think those are great fundamentals for a sustainable market like soccer cards. So sure. I don't think the move with Sunny in particular, even though I'm biased, I'm happy with that move, but I don't think from a hobby perspective it's going to necessarily move the needle, but move the needle in a very small way, each player at a time. Yes.
Yeah, no, I generally agree with your assessment. I think, the globalization of sports, like you're talking about, but also the globalization of trading cards, it's just becoming more accessible around the world. So I think those two things working together, really, I'm optimistic about the soccer card market. I'm optimistic about, the wrestling card market, all these niche kind of trading card sectors. There's interesting place to be had. And, with Will and Roy, we talk about wrestling cards can be, I don't want to say the next Pokemon, but there is room for growth is what the main point was, right?
For sure. And I think that's what I think the lesson with this, if you look at it from an unbiased macro lens, is that as long as the culture is there, the collectability will be there. So it's up to the people in charge of the narrative, which is, at this point, fanatics really, to be able to tell that narrative of that, right? It is really kind of expose the culture and why, it works in baseball, for instance. Why does the card community work in baseball? What's good? What can we extract from that? What do you see in the Pokemon cards? What can we extract from that collectability and kind of that experience? And everybody will say, well, we love the hobby. And what that is ultimately saying is it's the culture, right? It's the culture that you're in, the way everything's working. And like I said, it's not perfect. There's a lot of things that obviously need to be addressed, but that's the evolution of what we're talking about. That's why it's tough, because if you always, we're talking about this every week, and that's almost like looking at the micro lens, but in the bigger picture, you look at the last 5 years or so, there's a huge involvement around the hobby, and it's something that we have no say or control over. So it's kind of like accepting that, so that I guess you could enjoy it more.
Sure. And you know what? That's kind of a good tease to what we're going to be talking in Hobby Headlines, because they asked some industry leaders what's working in the hobby and what's not working after, being in it for a number of years. So I think that'll be an interesting segment coming up. But just to put a bow on this whole soccer cards thing, and kind of like what we're talking about in terms of the growth of the hobby, I had Wolf Hearts Cards on the pod just last week for one of our recent Friday episodes, and he's a soccer card collector. He's based in the U.S., and he was sharing, how the Soccer Card Expo went in Chicago at the same time as the National, and there's a growing number of vendors, and then he was also talking about Messi's, when he came to Inter Miami FC and how that created the frenzy. Like, good luck trying to get a game in Miami because of Messi, and so now, I'm not saying Sonny equals Messi, but just more of these European high profile players coming to MLS can only grow the game of soccer, or soccer fandom. And I think soccer cards will be a natural extension of that. And I've heard Mike Mahan, Fanatics CEO, or Fanatics Collect CEO, say the same thing, that trading cards in general is one of the best expressions of your sports fandom. Like, whatever team you root for or whatever player you like, it's just, a no-brainer sometimes just to make that little leap into the world of trading cards. So, I think we're on the same page here. We're really bullish on the hobby in general, but yeah, there is opportunities for like soccer cards and other more niche cards in this hobby.
For sure.
All right. With that, let's move on to Hobby Headlines. So I read another article from The Athletic, and this time it was just asking some key people in the hobby, as I just mentioned. And I believe they asked them at the National a couple weeks ago, 2 simple questions, right? And the first one was, what's working within the hobby? And the second, what's not working? All right. So I'll include the link in the article in the show notes below. But for today's pod, I thought I can go over some of the responses and see if we agree or disagree with them. All right. So let's start with what's working within the hobby. They asked Ken Golden this question of Golden Auctions, and this is what he said, quote, "Quite frankly, the cementing of women's sports as a category. In 2012, it did not exist. Then a couple of Serena Williams cards hit, and then somebody who captured the world's imagination like Caitlin Clark comes in, and we sell one of her college cards. I think it was like $90,000, and people go, oh my God." And then he continues to say, "It's really creating a new industry, and it created a new mindset for a lot of people. That, without question, is the biggest change over the past couple of years in trading cards." End quote. What do you think?
Biggest change? Maybe not. But
right.
I could see, okay, and I'm gonna be tough. I'm gonna put my tough goggles on here, because I could see how can we trust that that's not manufactured? You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about here, Ken? Because that could be manipulated. That could be, intentionally done artificially. Who are these people that are buying up the cards, right? So it's like, we can't necessarily say that that's true in the sense that, is it real growth or not? And I know they're pushing that agenda to be relevant. And like I said, it's not wrong at the same time. I'm not saying that he's wrong at the same time. Just look at it from the outside in lens too. Be fair, it's like, well, I think there's more things that grew in the hobby, or more positive things than the women's side of things, but it's not false what he's claiming either. There has been a surge, so yes, there is growth in that side too.
Yeah, I mean, it's an obvious conflict of interest for him too, right? He would want it to grow,
he's selling
like
it.
A new market to grow. He's a salesman. He's good at it, right? So I don't fault him for that. But yeah, exactly like you said, it's not wrong either, or it's not incorrect to say that this has become a category within the hobby, right? Like, it is legitimate. WNBA cards are gaining in popularity.
And he mentioned Serena Williams too. It's like stuff like that definitely helps yes. that, so he's not wrong, right?
Yeah. And it's one of those classic things. Time will tell, right? To see if it just has that staying power. Mm-hmm. But it is the in thing right now. Caitlin Clark logo man cards are popping off, so it's staying in the headlines. But let's see in a year. Let's see in 2 years if it still has that momentum. All right, Ryan Hogue, PSA president, said this: I think the level of new people coming into the hobby at different ages, men and women, that's going really well. I think it's fun, and you're seeing innovative ways to buy cards. You're seeing innovative ways to collect them, to sell them, to connect with the community.
100%. 100% agree. I have no problem with that. He's not wrong. And there's no necessarily a bias behind it. And that's what I'm looking at in this lens. Well, it's like, why is he saying this? Will it benefit him personally, or is he supposed to say that based on his positioning? But it's fair. It's very unbiased. I think it's healthy in general, and he's correct. Mm-hmm. That's what we've seen, and that's what we preach. And, I 100% agree. Yeah.
No one's 100% objective, but yes, that's what we've seen. And that's what we've talked about on the podcast. Yeah. Like all these new innovative ways within the hobby that are taking place. And I think if you go look back in our catalog of episodes, man, every year it's something new is happening. Right. And it's, we have something to talk about. That's why we can still do this in our 5th season.
100%.
If it was the same, we're like, okay, we're just rehashing what cards we like and what we don't like.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Because our podcast is issues based as well. There's no shortage of things to talk about within the hobby. So, right. We're completely aligned with Ryan here. Okay, Brian Lee, fellow Korean Arena Club CEO and founder. He says this, quote, I think the hobby is continuing to grow, as you notice walking the National here. It's the most packed I've ever seen it. You see these young kids get involved now. And he says it's at least 25% of the folks in here are under 18, right? So that means that the hobby is very healthy. It's growing, it's extending, and it's price safe for future generations, or secure for future generations. And then he says, I also think it's just more awareness too. I think Fanatics has done an amazing job in terms of bringing more awareness to the hobby.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that none of that's true. It's fact. We've had more participation in both, the National and, Fanatics Fest. So, and there's a lot more card shows. There's a lot more participation in the youth. And that's obviously from a business lens. That's what they kind of want, because that's going to be your future, demographics as well. So, and to put that, in perspective too, we've talked about Fanatics telling the narrative, and that's exactly what someone in the industry is seeing it from as well, because he's piggybacking on that, right? So sure. It's the awareness, it's the tools that Fanatics is using to market the hobby as a whole, to merge the differences between fan and collector. I think that is a huge thing that Fanatics is really doing well. And how they're doing that is they're marketing their players, they're marketing things that, merge that gap between, he's a superstar and I'm just a fan. And there's some gap between there. So they understand that cultural significance. So, we've talked about this on many pods, Fanatics, it's up to Fanatics in terms of how they're marketing it. And I think they're winning that game for sure.
Yeah, and it's funny you say all those things, because the next quote will be from Mike Mahan, Fanatics Collectibles CEO. But before we get to that, on Brian Lee's point about the youth just getting more involved, and I was at the National, right? And I was kind of seeing what's going on, and it's 100% true. Like the youth are, they all have their Zion cases. And then I was joking with someone that they're pretty savvy too in the hobby, right? They come up to me and they look at some of my cards and then they're trying to negotiate. And for some reason, I'm getting nervous talking to a 12-year-old. You know what I mean? Like, it's like they're very aggressive and they know what they're talking about. They're like, no, can you come down with this comp? And I'm like, just speaking really quickly, and I'm like, what's going on here, right? So, and some of them do have wads of cash as well.
Yeah, and something to
it's crazy.
Add to that, like the youth, you got to remember, this is their childhood. This is they don't know what we experienced as kids. They don't care about the issues that we see. You know what I mean? So it's like, we shouldn't ruin it because we see it in a different lens. Like kids this is their childhood. This is what they look forward to every weekend. It's like, why are you going to ruin that? Like if we had a card show when we were kids, even opening packs, if you could afford a pack of cards, that opening was the highlight of, your childhood, right? So just to put it into perspective, we see all these issues, but at the end of the day, it's someone's childhood, and, seeing the youth, this much youth being involved in it, it's a positive sign, but at the same time, it's like, I think it's our job to make the hobby a healthy way to, even live life. Like you learn a lot of skill sets as in terms of business and how transactions, how to sell, how to talk to people, how to communicate. Those are all things that, are positives within the hobby that, we should instill in that youth, which they're getting from this.
Yeah, and I mean, like one of the big differences though between this generation and when we collected is technology, social media, right? So it doesn't surprise me that actually as the hobby grows and companies like Topps and Fanatics and all the other big players that do well on social media will garner more of the attention with the youth today, because that's where they are. And I think in a sense it's not as surprising as it probably should be. That they're getting more involved because they're getting exposed to the hobby on their phones essentially. And people can complain that, they're all about flipping now because they see the money involved. But at its core, it was always about the chase. We didn't have that technology, but we still wanted to hit the big card.
For sure.
We wanted to hit that Todd Van Poppel, and because we thought that was going to make us rich in the future. But, they just have more data. So kids these days just have more data and they have more marketplaces where they could flip and sell. So good for them being able to take advantage of that. All right. We mentioned Mike Mahan. This is his quote. And I think this is going to be a quick agree. But he says, "It always starts with the product. And I think that, while not perfect, I think we are making special products. I think the team has made a massive amount of product innovation. I think the way we're dealing with athletes and bringing them into the hobby, whether it's Topps Rip Night, whether it's signing, whether it's Fanatics Fest, whether it's those participating in social media."
100%. And this is where I could back it. It's like, I know even the younger generational kids that are in professional baseball, Major League Baseball, they're not doing it because it's like a contract. Like back in the day, we would say, okay, I got to do this because, I have a contract with them or whatever. It's part of the gig. Yeah. But these guys are actually wanting to participate. That's the difference. It's an actual thing that, that even athletes enjoy. And like I said, it's like if you could merge the culture from that fan to the athlete, which I think they're doing really well, I think this is exactly what he's talking about too. So.
Yeah, for sure. Because later on in the quote, and I've heard him say this on other podcasts, he says maybe 10, 11, 12 Major League Baseball players were collectors like a few years ago. Now it's like it's a few hundred. You know what I mean? Like,
that's crazy.
People are just getting more involved in the hobby, like Major League Baseball players. Yeah. And then you're seeing just, even on social media, more of them just ripping in the clubhouse, and seeing what they get, right? Yeah. Or I hear like, when they go travel to a city, they look for the local hobby shop because they just want to rip. They just want to buy wax. It's becoming a thing now.
And it's just a matter of time where, like if you think about it, why aren't there crazy hobby shops in every single Major League Baseball venue? You know what I mean? There should be multiple hobby shops within,
Yes.
a baseball stadium. Just my opinion. I think that's where it's eventually going to go too, because MLB is going to see, the profitability on that side, because obviously Fanatics is doing it. And, it makes sense because you have 50,000 people in a stadium, and they're all baseball fans. And what more emotional experience with ripping cards at a stadium, you know what I mean? So I think there's that huge opportunity with that as well.
I think it's slowly happening. I mean, shout out to Chris Costa and the team at Card Vault by Tom Brady. During the National, I don't know if you heard, but they had their grand opening of their Card Vault by Tom Brady shop right inside Wrigley Field. So It's happening already, right? So,
yeah. That's right. And a bunch of the Cubs players, they were there wanting to rip cases. So, there's proof right there.
Yep. There's proof of concept. All right. Let's move on to the second question. I think this is far more interesting. What's not working? Okay. And this, again, from Ken Golden. He says, I think licensed manufacturers need to put out a product that the consumer is happier with so that a first-time buyer doesn't feel they spent $150 a box and then they go on whatever app they use and they see their cards are worth $14. Right. That has to stop happening.
First off, I'm glad that they asked this question more so than what's positive, because this is personal accountability now.
Yes.
Right? And these are leaders. If they're the leaders in the industry, this is what, hey, they said it out in public. This is what we want to see. And to me, that's a positive thing. If they know that it's an issue or they're trying to address that issue, that's exactly what we need. This is a roundtable discussion of what sucks and what needs to be fixed. So these guys are, putting themselves out there, self-accountability. It's like, then do something about it. You guys are the ones that said it. So I love this, that, people are talking about it. And I couldn't agree more. It's like, hey, the experience that Fanatics needs to create, the ripping experience has to change, because there's way more value that they can put in the boxes without even trying. Like, they have the resources to make it less of a painful rip. Right? You're not going to change the secondary economics of the reselling. So it's like, you can't change the card scarcity, but what you can do is make it less damaging. We've all don't rip for that purpose, because they're like, oh man, it's like, most likely you're going to come out with, less than 10% of the box in value. So it's like, how can they, whether that's partnerships of national brands like Taco Bell, like win a free taco or win a free dinner, like, who knows, like, just put more value where it's not costing the company money, but at the same time it's providing a better experience. I've always said that the experience from a sheer ripping perspective is horrific. They need to improve that, because most likely you're better off, playing roulette. Seriously, you're going to do better off roulette in terms of ROI, but there's a chance you hit, and that's what people are chasing. But if they could create a better experience where it's not as bad, where you could get your value in some other way, and the way you do that is through partnerships. You have so many partnerships that can participate from a marketing standpoint. There's a lot of opportunity there. I'm hoping that, they go through that. Fanatics actually goes through that process to make the experience better. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, they got to be a little bit more creative, and they're not doing nothing, right? So I want to give them a little bit of rope here, but yes, if there's one thing that hasn't improved, and it's not 100% their fault, because the hobby is growing and they're trying to meet that demand, but as a side consequence, the ripping experience and the ROI has become far worse than when we actually got back into the hobby, before the COVID. Even before the COVID peak, right? So, case in point, I went to the National. I bought a box of 2025 Topps Chrome hobby box, and I'm gonna edit that so you can see what I got. I think it was $250, somewhere around there. I just sold a Christian Campbell Aqua parallel, numbered to $299. That was nice, but I sold it for a huge $15. Right? And then I also have my auto I got an auto. It was Grant McCrae. Do you know who Grant McCrae is?
I do not.
Okay, there you go. You just proven my point. San Francisco Giants rookie. At least it's a refractor, I guess, numbered to 499, and it's an on-card auto. So I can't, these two things. I think it's worth $10. So there you go, $25 of value.
Where did you pull the Acuna out of?
Top Series 2.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Yes, so it's a risk either way, and that I was just expecting to get a relic like I usually do, and I did get a relic, but I also got an on-card relic auto of Ronald Acuna numbered to 5.
Yeah, so that's crazy. That's a crazy hit.
Very lucky, very lucky. And I'll show that once I edit it. I'll show that on the 5 Card Guys Instagram account.
Yeah, it's a gamble though. At the end of the day, even then, it's like, what are you going to get for that? You don't necessarily make your money back, right?
Or just break even.
Break even, like
yes.
For the impossible hit.
Right. That's what we're looking at. So yes, Golden has a good point there. All right, Ryan Hogue again, PSA president. He says this. I want to make sure that the hobby doesn't lose kind of the collector focus. It seems like it's heavily indexing on the hustler, like the flipper. That's cool. That's faster. Way to make money. That's fun. But I think you need to have a healthy balance. The hobby has always had this tension of passion and nostalgia versus profit.
I'm gonna keep Mr. Hogue accountable here. Hey, you guys are one of the leaders. Let's look at your marketing. Are you pushing any of that? Are you pushing any of that? Hey, what's this hobby? Is it more for a collector experience? That's what you want? You have the power to market that. That's the narrative that you guys should be using as a marketing tool, right? If that's what you want to see the hobby, why isn't your marketing flooded with that, right? Same with Fanatics. It's like, I agree with that point, but hey, if that's the case, then, be the example. That's it. This is where I'm talking about self-accountability. This is a perfect example. PSA is big enough. If you want that, you could preach that. And I think it's a very positive message, and it needs to, be preached out there, just because I think there's a lot of kids that aren't aware of all these issues. So yes, I agree. And I'm going to hold him, do one above and hold him accountable. Say, you guys are the ones in charge. So let's see what PSA does.
Sure. I mean, it's ironic, right? That what's PSA really known for a lot of people? It's the PSA 10s. And we know that's 3x, 4x, 10x, the raw
upcharges.
Card, if it gets a 10.
Why is there upcharges, right? if it's not about the secondary market.
100%. So there you go. I mean, I don't fault PSA as a company. You got to make money and people are willing to pay. But yeah, if this is what he really means as well, to focus on the more collector side of things, then certainly they could do more.
Yeah. Healthy balance.
Agreed. All right. We're going to Mike Mahan again. This is what he says. The collector experience within the ecosystem is not great, and there have been years, if not decades, of what I'll call collector neglect that we've inherited. Some of those things take time to fix, and with the state of where we're at right now in the hobby, focusing on both quality control, improvements, and getting product out on time, and meeting the demands of where collectors are today, and all of the on-card autographs and the relics that collectors rightfully expect, that's hard. End quote.
I mean, I think that's a given. I think,
sure.
That's just standard expectations. You rely on the manufacturer and the people in charge. So I think that's always been an issue. So as it grows bigger too, even going back to the experience, those are things that, need foundational work. And the good thing about all this, like thinking about this right now, this is good because whether you like it or not, how far we've come in the hobby has forced these issues to surface. These issues would have been hidden had someone not taken the bull by the horn and went forward with, this is the way we see the hobby. And as they do that, what we see is all the issues that have always been there. Mm-hmm. They're just coming to light. So, would you rather fix the issue and know that the issue was there in the first place, or would you rather be blindsided to it? For those, I'm just saying this in general context, for those that are bitter about the hobby, let's say, right? It's like, this is how you fix the hobby. You have to go through it in order to see that it was an issue in the first place. And then you address the issue. So seeing all these points, I love this because of that, just giving that context out there. But yeah, I agree. Just standard, quality issue controls from the manufacturers, redemptions, the process, all that needs to be fixed. And those are foundational things that I expect that they're going to be addressed, and it's going to be a better experience overall. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And, I think a lot of us will agree that they've inherited a lot of this mess, right?
Yeah.
Because it's been, I do agree with Mahan, like the collector in general has been taken for granted for a long time. So I'm glad to see Fanatics kind of step in and do what they're doing, trying to improve the processes and things like that. But now that they've inherited it, now that essentially the number one player in this hobby in terms of manufacturing of trading cards, they're going to run into issues as well, like new issues, unforeseen issues.
For sure.
And I hope that they will be just as transparent with the issues they cause, whether unforeseen or whether they had an idea and they didn't execute it well. I hope that they'll be transparent in fixing those issues moving forward as well. It's not, you can only blame the past for so long until we're like, okay, now Fanatics, you had a lot of time to fix a lot of things, but now these new issues, we want you to be accountable to those.
Right. And I think it goes back to, and this is why I am bullish on Fanatics, is because what you said is a business the size of Fanatics, if they're able to solve these macro issues, then there's so much opportunity for them. And to me, Michael Rubin is someone that sees it from that lens. So when I see a leader of the whole ship, that's his whole strength, is to address these issues, to fix it, to do what it takes to, turn that issue into a solution. And to me, that's why I believe in a company like Fanatics, is because I see them doing that. I see them making those, the efforts to address these issues that need to be addressed. Yeah. And this is why and not to, push blame, this is where I would like to see Upper Deck, like I seen a few comments with the Upper Deck president. It's like, well, these are the opportunities I'd like to see Upper Deck take as well, because they've been kind of in the shadows. And I know they're trying to protect their brand, but, Upper Deck, are they there on delivery every year with their product? How far back is SP? I don't even know if they're caught up. But if you can't release a year after, like this, it just doesn't work, right? So
yeah, for sure. And as collectors, we'll definitely keep those companies accountable. Like that's what we do best, right? In terms of what we express what we like and what we don't like. So I'm sure that will continue. Speaking of Upper Deck, this is the last quote I have for the segment. Jason Mishara, who is the Upper Deck president, says this about what's not working. Quote, I think the elephant in the room right now is the responsibility of the manufacturers to provide easier authentication services, both on the memorabilia and the trading card side of the ledger. I think whenever a market is super hot, you end up attracting a lot of bad actors. It's hard because every time you take a step forward, the bad actors catch up and sometimes go ahead. How do we as manufacturers try to stay ahead of the back actors in the industry? End quote.
I think you can't change the bad actors. It comes with the territory.
They're always going to be around.
They're always going to be around, and it's what you do on your day to day as a manufacturer that's going to dictate whether that consumer confidence is there. Because to me, it's like you could blame things, and to me, it's not saying that he's necessarily wrong. Like I agree, because there's all these issues with authentication and stuff. But it goes back to, there's always been, this is problems in the 80s, 90s, been ongoing. Right. People tried hiding them. They're all coming to the surface now because, change is happening. So yes, like I agree with that, but yeah, I just feel like it's a little biased on his end because, they've been doing a good job with those things, but just because there's bad actors in it doesn't necessarily mean that the manufacturers aren't responsible for that as a manufacturer. That's given. It's like you have to make sure that that is your prime product. Like, those are things that I expect from Upper Deck. Those are things that I expect from Topps Chrome. Those are things that I expect from Panini, that they are the companies that provide the valued product. Otherwise, if they're, fake authentication, it's like, why would I want to even, rip a certain product, right? If that's right. What they stand for. So those are things that I think you can't change, but as a brand, you have to do whatever it takes to make sure that the consumer confidence is there. And you know what? It's not all bad. It's like, I'm glad that's being addressed because I think a lot of the stuff, the history of even, cards of trimming, like all these negative things that were in the hobby, those were just hidden. Mm-hmm. They always existed, but like we got to make the hobby better. And the way we do that is by letting these issues come to light and now holding people accountable, the leaders in this industry, to now put those in place to make sure those can't happen. That's it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're generally thinking the same thing. They just need to be a little more proactive, right? Rather than responding to whatever new thing that bad actors are, doing. Right? And like you said, there's always bad actors around. There's certainly bad actors around when there's money involved. If there's money to be made, you got to expect it, right? You got to expect it. So how do I be proactive about, protecting the consumer,
right?
In a way that it doesn't get really bad, and then you're just kind of reacting to the situation.
And I think that's the best way to always look at business or always look at an industry, and especially in an industry where our economy is upside down, yet we have a growing emerging industry, right? That tells me a lot. It's like, it's not the same way that it used to be. That's why everything that used to be is going to crap. And the innovators see the opportunity here, and they're being proactive to make sure that, they solidify it through real value. Because real value will be the only thing that sustains a crashing economy. Right? Mm-hmm. Why else would it stand? You can't manufacture something against a river that's just pushing through and you're swimming upstream thinking that you're going to change things. It's like, you have to go to your guns and why, people value something in the first place. So to me, what do you think Fanatics has been doing? It's like, that's what I want to see from Beckett. That's what I want to see from Upper Deck. That's what I want to see from all these big players in the game that have the opportunity right now in a huge emerging market. We've said this, it's been emerging. It's not, oh, will it emerge? It's like, no, man, we've seen it. Right. And the crash wasn't as bad as you thought. It was a severe correction, but a lot of these cards are sustaining value because people are seeing value differently as a collector. So to me, it goes back on accountability. I like this because this is where, okay, we'll see now that you guys said it as a whole industry. It's like, can you guys now make it better? And that's your job too, right?
Yes, sir. And, there's more quotes from this article. Like I said, I'll include the link in the show notes. But like Armand Wilson, he's the Whatnot vice president of categories, and he says something similar about building a trusted platform, right? So like Whatnot's fairly new, and I know they get a ton of criticism, and rightly so, because it is a new platform and it's growing pains there. But yeah, we want to see as the hobby grows, this is what you got to deal with, especially if you're a manufacturer, especially if you're building a platform. That's part of the territory. All right, great article. I thought it was insightful, and you should give it a full read if you get a chance. Okay, let's move on to over under. All right, we've been doing this a few times lately, and I think it's been fun. And I think the last time I did it, I chose a big money amount, so I'm going to bring it back down to $1,000. Okay, that's the number today. So you tell me if These list of cards last sold. I think I chose cards that sold within the past couple weeks for more or for over or under $1,000. All right. First one. This might be a guess to you because we're not huge football card collectors, but the 2024 Panini Prism, Silver Prism, Jaden Daniels rookie card, PSA 10.
What is it?
The Jaden Daniels Silver Prism rookie card.
Silver Prism.
PSA 10.
PSA 10.
The once gold standard Silver Prism.
Silver Prism 2024.
Pop count 455. So it wasn't
bad.
like the COVID peak.
Yeah. Not too bad. But I think that did expand a lot more. And pricing did fall. So I'm going to say under.
1,200.
Oh, still.
Jaden Daniels is hot.
Yeah, so maybe I would say that the pop count is holding it that high. So that's going to be the kicker, I think, whether it falls below 1,000 is the more it pops up. And you know that there's more than 455 out there.
Maybe there's pop control. We can't prove it, but, there are some certain cards PSA likes to control the population.
True.
My opinion only. Okay. All right. Let's go to 2024 Bowman. There's the 1955 Bowman anime subset. Gold refractor number to 50 of Julio Rodriguez. PSA 10.
I really like J-Rod. I think people are crapping on J-Rod.
Sir.
Like I'm telling you, this guy's a superstar. He's a great buy in my opinion. Just in general. Yeah. If you're long term, like J-Rod, watch. He hasn't even hit his stride. When he hits his stride, he's a 40-40 guy. So like I'm gonna say it's under because J-Rod market is super soft.
Yeah, I chose J-Rod for a reason. And you know who else would agree with you? Brent Ware, a friend of the pod, deep value investor. Yeah. He's starting to collect a lot of J-Rod because he thinks he's undervalued right now, just as you do. And I chose him because, yes, the gold refractor. I know it's a subset, but it is a gold refractor, number to 50. I like it. $500. There you go. It's a good buy for J-Rod in general.
Yes,
I think.
I agree.
Yeah. All right, here we'll go a little bit older now. Bo Jackson, 1987 Topps Tiffany Future Stars. It's kind of cool to see the actual Future Stars.
Yes, I remember that. I remember that card too.
Do you? It's nostalgia whenever I think about this card. PSA 10. What do you think? Pop is 575.
575. You know what? I feel like the junk wax era is still, there's still a market there with, because it's super low pop in general, because I think PSA 10s are hard. So I'm going to include this in the mix that was it an ever $1,000 card? I don't even think so. So I think it's a new record that it's over 1,000.
You should have gone with your first assessment. I don't think it was ever $1,000 card. It's $750.
So it's still under.
Yes,
but it's trending up.
I believe so. I will have to double check.
Yeah, I would think that was like $100, like at one point.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, two more. 2018 Topps update. This paper of Juan Soto gold number 2 2018 PSA 10.
PSA
Pop
10.
Count, 272 for the PSA 10.
God dang. I'm saying it better be over. If it's not over, it's a buy. I'm telling you right now. It's a buy if it's not over. It has to be over.
All right. I think you got to go on eBay right after this. $900.
It's a buy, man. I'm telling you. It's a buy. It's a buy. Usually,
I also think, yeah.
Yeah, usually I think golds on players like that, anything under 1,000, and this used to be true to rainbow foils as well, which is even less desirable than the golds. But I think a gold PSA 10 of Juan Soto, the US 300, because think about it, his only rookie image in 2018 that people know is that one image, and that's the same image for Topps Chrome. And because it was Topps Chrome update, he wasn't in Series 1 or Series 2. Right? So it becomes that image and its parallels. So the only parallels really is I guess it would be, up to the X-fractor, refractors, and then you have your base. The refractors are numbered, and then you have no other parallels, right? Other than your pink and sepias, and then that gold becomes very valuable. That's why I'm saying, I'm justifying, hey, $900 is a buy for Soto. I don't care what anybody says. This guy's a generational talent. He's going to be a 100+ WAR player. So if you're looking for short term, even short term, I think he's a great buy. But long term, great buy.
I like it for that price for sure.
272 pop count.
There you go. Last one. This might be a total guess for you, but I picked it for a reason. The 2023 Pokemon Van Gogh Pikachu with gray felt hat. Very popular. PSA 10. Pop count for this PSA 10 is closing in on 42,000.
What? 42,000 pop count.
The most graded Pokemon card in history.
And what's so special about this card, Clark, that makes it $1,000 card?
Just look at the art, man. We've
so
had
it's the
this
art.
conversation.
So this would be consensus that people are like, man, like I've seen some, Picassos, but this is like, this is art, yeah. And this is why this is everybody's on the consensus page of that. The card is very eye appealing.
I think the majority would agree, especially if you own one. But yeah.
And then no news happened with this character or anything like that, right? Like
nothing scandalous with Pikachu, no. But
it's a Pikachu.
Or nothing. It's a Pikachu.
It's a
yes.
Pikachu. So you have the collectability there for sure. 42,000 is crazy, and because the market is so hot. I'm going to say it's over because it's one of those things where, everybody needs one in their collection. And this is a total guess because I have no clue, but I know the Pokemon market is on fire, and usually with that comes spending habits. So 42,000 people, including you and Roy, have it.
Including, I think Roy sold his last one.
So if he's selling, it's over 1,000.
There you go. Correct assessment. It's at 1240.
There you
right
go.
Now. And I do have one, or my wife has one. I gave it to her as a gift when it was $300-400.
Amazing.
And look where it is now.
Sell.
Yeah. It's like, where is it? Oh yeah, I had to sell. Sorry.
Pop 42,000. Get her into something a little more low pop.
Yeah, I'll talk to her afterwards. All right, that's our over/under segment. Let's finish off this episode with our weekly segment called Pick One. All right, I think I know what you're going to go with.
You don't? I'm going to throw a curveball at you.
Oh.
So I'm going to take a little break. I still think Aaron Judge is a buy, so we're going to continue that. But I want to highlight someone who else I think is a great buy that is not getting the credit. And we've said it a lot on this podcast throughout the years. You can never doubt someone who has an 80 hit tool. And there's only been a couple 80 hit tools coming through the prospect, and one of them is obviously Vladdy Guerrero Jr. And too many people have doubted his ability. Again, he starts slow. This time he's getting hot again. He's going to put up ridiculous numbers. And guess what? He's actually, that play he made with Bo Bichette the other day, like insane. It's like, you got to love where the Blue Jays are. You got to love that they've invested heavily on Vladdy, that he's a Blue Jay lifer.
Yeah.
80 hit tool. He's carrying the team. He's going to keep it through this playoff run. So I'm saying Vladdy is a buy. He's always been a buy for the last 4 years. He was way too high of a prospect. So now we're at a point where Vladdy prices are kind of laughable, to be honest, because his 2016 Bowman Chrome refractor auto, so number to 499, a PSA 9, sold for $580.
Wow, too cheap.
A refractor, 2016 Bowman Chrome first. Think of Ohtani's pricing. I know they're not the same, but they're not that different. right? Judge to Vladdy, they're not that much different. If Vladdy keeps this up, he'll be just as good as Judge when it's all said and done, right? So to me, Vladdy is crazy. The market's crazy. So $580 for a PSA 9, Bowman Chrome Refractor Auto number 499. Okay? I'm going to pair that up against a 2019 Topps Chrome Auto. Okay? So his rookie auto. A Gold Wave number 50. SGC 10. Okay? Sold for $930. So a little more than the PSA 9 Bowman Refractor 9. But I still think a Gold Wave Refractor SGC 10 Auto 10 number 50 for $930. Pretty decent pricing. Not saying it's the best price. I think the better deal is the Bowman in my opinion, but I still think both have enormous legs based on the type of player Vladdy is and how we see the marketplace react to high performers like Vladdy.
Yes. Ooh, that's a good one because let's play it out, right? That Vladdy becomes this generational player and he has the stats to back it up over the next 5-10 years, right? Which card would I rather have, right? So, Refractor, Bowman Chrome, so versus the Topps Chrome Gold Wave, right? That's what you're saying?
Right.
And then the PSA 9 versus SGC, what was it again?
10. SGC 10 Gold
Okay.
Wave versus PSA 9 Bowman Refractor out of $499. And then just to throw you a little curveball, think of it as, would you rather have the Bowman Chrome Mike Trout in a refractor, or would you rather have his rookie year, like a rookie auto? I know a lot of them don't exist, right? But in a Trout year, like a Topps update, like a black parallel, something like that.
Right. But this is a Topps Chrome, right?
This is Topps Chrome Gold Auto, Gold Wave Auto, numbered to 50. So it's not the true gold, but it's a Gold Wave Auto and it's SGC 10.
So for me, it's Bowman versus Topps. So Bowman wins out every time, right? But then it's the parallel, 499 to 50. And then it's the true parallels, right? So the Gold Wave, there's like another... minus point, half a minus point.
Right.
But I think in this case, I would rather have the rarity. I'm on this rarity kick, man. Like,
it's crazy. You're such a
pure collector.
You're such a devoted Bowman Chrome is the grail, nothing else.
I still love it. And there's a few exceptions, like Mike Trout, actually. Bowman Chrome, that's iconic for me. And I would take that over Topps.
What do you think Brent would pick in this situation? The Vladdy, PSA 9, right?
Yes. That's a good question. I don't know if the Gold Wave would throw him off. I don't know, because he would ask, like, what's at the end the most desirable card for most people, right? Or what's, the best card for that player. And I don't know if he would dock enough marks because of the Gold Wave parallel that it doesn't become iconic for him.
Yeah, right. So, and I think that's just a trend. I think docking points, like, do you know how we as a hobby, we dock points for Gold Wave? What are we think it's out of 50? No. Like, when it's all said and done, you think somebody cares about whether a Mickey Mantle, if there was a parallel, was numbered to 50? That's the only thing that matters at that point. So I think it's a trend that the true gold, like, obviously true gold, always gonna, in my heart, is always gonna be the better, like, value, but it's not that different.
I agree. The only thing I would argue about it is with modern cards, there are just a lot of different golds too. Ray Wave, Disco, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But for 2019, there's a limited amount of gold. I think it's just Gold Wave and True Gold, right?
Yeah.
So
there's no gold.
So in that case,
or like bubbles or
there's
whatever.
100 golds out there if you want to include every, like Gold Wave 50, True Gold 50.
Yeah.
So I'm going with the Gold Wave.
Wow.
In this case.
And in an SGC. That's
just
wild.
crack that out.
Yeah,
crack that out and go to.
I still think
or
Brent
PSA.
would, based on the pricing, Brent would still go with the Refractor 499. But I'm gonna go Gold Wave too, because I think if I decide to keep it, I think it would be a card with massive eye appeal and that I would like enjoy, just especially Vladdy being, committed to Toronto now, and them doing what they're doing and the team becoming what they're becoming, right? So like that, I think I would enjoy the card more, and for that reason I would choose the gold. But I don't know if it's going to be a better payout than the PSA 9 refractor. So having that balance of, hey, if I decide to keep it, I know I'll do well. If I decide to sell it, I know that somebody would pay an inflated price if I decide to sell it. And I don't think I have that with the Bowman Chrome. I think it's going to be market price. It's a PSA 9, so it's not going to be the PSA 10 inflated value. So for that, I would go Gold Wave.
All right, we're aligned with that. Yeah, with the PSA 9, yeah, you could crack it out. Maybe get a BGS 9.5.
That would be my play, probably.
All right, we'll end off with my pick 1. This guy has been on the news lately because he's been struggling, but I think we've taken him for granted for so long in the hobby. So this might be a good buy opportunity. His name is Mookie Betts. I think he's batting 240. He's been trying to correct his swing, trying to correct things, and yeah, it's pricing has gone down a little bit. It's actually pretty stable, but I'm going to put up his 2014 Bowman Chrome rookie card auto or prospect auto, numbered to 500, right? PSA 10 went for about 4K, or the blue refractor numbered to 150, BGS 9.5.
Sorry, say that again.
The PSA 10 refractor numbered to 500.
No, which card?
His 2014 Bowman Chrome.
His 2014 Bowman, okay.
Auto. Yeah. Or the blue refractor numbered to 150, BGS 9.5.
This one's an easy one for me. I'm always buy the card first. So if we're talking same price.
Yep.
Yeah, I got it. If we're apples to apples on price, then I'm gonna go with the blue. I
thought that would be easy.
I just think the PSA 10 value, it might be good, maybe better short term, but I don't think the true value is there. If I'm extracting true value, and I think Mookie Betts is a buy, just in general, because this is baseball. Like, look at Bo Bichette's last year, and look at him this year. And Mookie Betts been doing this, and this is his first, I would say, first or second kind of really down year. But other than that, he's had a flawless 12-year career, and he has Hall of Fame numbers. And this guy's going to be 100+ WAR probably when it's all said and done. And there's only a few position players that, we mentioned that are going to be able to hit 100 WAR. So, yeah, Mookie Betts is definitely a buy long term. And I picked the blue.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Brent. We've been talking about him a lot in this episode. But if you asked him what he would choose, I know I could be fully confident that he would choose the blue BGS 9.5 as well. And that's what we're going with. So I just chose that to make that point. And also what you already said, I think Mookie buy, if you're always looking to add him to your collection, this might be the year to do it.
For sure.
Because I think, I'm expecting a nice rebound year for him in 2026.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
expecting. And the buy might be, even better in October, but then October, November. Right. But you run the risk if LA does a crazy playoff run and he becomes something special, then you might lose out on that opportunity. So it would be monitor from now until November and see how pricing is.
Absolutely. Put him on your watch list. That's our advice for you guys.
There you go.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. Another great episode. And yeah, we'll have a brand new episode for you next week. Talk to you then. Bye. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU@Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.